You know how a lot of fake AI artists try to LARP as real artists by posting speed paints and stuff like that? This is actually happening in the 3D and graphic design space on Twitter now. So let's delve into this because haven't seen this one yet, but please don't send hate to any parties involved. So there is this post circulating around on Twitter by a user called MS Football, referring to soccer if you live in the US like me. And it is a little graphic design post about an athlete who is playing soccer and standing in front of the world, or more so jumping in front of the world, because there is a massive quote unquote 3D render of the world behind them. Now, if you look at the image, it does have some sort of like, possibly AI essences to it, but without some proof, without some evidence, it is what it is. Now, there is another person who posted on Twitter before and after latest work. So they're claiming that this is their work. It's honestly hard to tell whose work this belongs to. And you might be like, well, Ahmed posted the before, right? The 3D render. So it must be their work. There's a lot that goes into this. If you open up Blender, it looks something like this. At least this is Blender 5.1.1. File, edit, render, window, help, layout, modeling, sculpting, UV editing, texture, paint, shading, animation, rendering, compositing, geometry nodes, and scripting. Look at the Blender for Ahmed. File, edit, render, window, help, layout, modeling, UD editing, volume, claim, pant, scatting, Proton. What the hell is going on up here? And people are quote retweeting and making fun of them, writing, my best Blender activities, UD painting, volume lame pant, scotting, and Proton. And they also add, also, in what world is a football player using its hands like basketball? Because yeah, I mean, I don't play football or soccer, never have, but I thought you weren't allowed to touch the ball with your hand in the game, you know? This bro looks like he's about to go across the ball between his legs and dunk on your head. And if you just look at the face is just incorrect. People in the comments are making fun of this guy. Like, why are we faking 3D scenes? Is this a meta joke I don't get? Another person said, you did rubbish, and OP says, thanks, man. The original poster, MS Football, says, seriously, how? And Ahmed says, my darling, here you go. Another person says, amazing work, dude. Do you work in Photoshop? They said, nah, bro, only Canva. You know it? Other people were looking at the image being like, the fingers don't match up at all. I didn't even notice this, but if you take a look at the thumb, this person drew it out. The thumb is hella long. Oh no, that's absurd. And then, if you look closely at the buildings in the back, they're all garbled up. But honestly, the nail in the coffin is the Gemini logo in the bottom right-hand corner. Bro didn't even bother to hide it. So this post got flagged as made with AI. But it didn't change the fact that there's a conversation going around because there's actually a bunch of people like Thumb and others LARPing as 3D modelers. Like, this is another post from this account before and after. It's a video, and we have the 3D model of the crowd, and this is also done in apparently Blender. And then it kind of slides over and it reveals the full image. But if you look at the image, this is most definitely AI. What is happening with this dude? Like, look at this elbow. He's got a really, really short upper arm and then a really chopped up elbow. And then where is this arm? It's melting into the arm of this guy behind him. And it's like weird because if you look at the 3D model, this is just a guy standing with both arms up like this, looking forward. Like, not at the players, but actually over forward towards the other side of the crowd. And then suddenly the head changes. Odd. And also the faces aren't even modeled in. The faces are very, very blank. Even if you look at the 3D model in the background of the crowd, there are like mashed up fingers going on in the back. Like, come on, if you genuinely model this yourself, you wouldn't, I don't know, step on the fingers here. But then this is weird because they also have another side-by-side for the same piece, sketch versus raw composition. So again, it's that same final piece with all the chopped up hands and stuff. And then we have a sketch for it, which, like, sure, you would sketch before you would make the 3D model in Blender possibly, right? But even the sketch is odd looking. I mean, we have the heads of the characters, they're all standing in the front, but then, like, again, if you look at the crowd, it's the same guy again, right? The forearm, there's like a line cutting through the arm, and then the rest of the arm is like disjointed and appears behind it, which is weird. And there's like the bodies of these two players, their shirts are like connected together for some reason. Why would you draw it like that? And also this other part is so weird because, like, okay, they sketched on grid paper, except digitally. So somehow digitally, you would have to go out of your way to go and find a blank grid background to then draw over, or more so the grid is actually on top of their artwork. Why would you do that? Because this isn't a perspective grid to go like give you the depth perception for this composition. It's literally just grid paper. It just doesn't make any sense. And we have another one, sketch versus raw composition. This is the sketch. This is the final work. Again, we have the sketch on grid paper that makes no sense. And by the way, the grid paper isn't even connected. Like, look at the grid here. It's literally broken here for some reason. Once again, isn't this supposed to be about soccer players? So why does this guy look like he's about to dunk? Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought you weren't allowed to touch the ball like this in soccer. You can in basketball, but not soccer. And the final thing is, what is this metal chunk that's supposed to be here? Like, this looks like a basketball rim with no net, but it looks like the rim, and this looks like maybe this could also be like the backboard of the basketball. Like, it doesn't look like soccer. And by the way, this Ahmed account also LARPing as an artist. Here we have their before, here we have their after. It's literally not the same thing. This is not the same thing at all. And I'm not saying that you can't have a sketch that later changes, but the essence is completely different here. And then again, we have the Gemini logo in the bottom right-hand corner, confirming that this is not legit. These are just 2 accounts that I found online doing this, but there's a whole bunch more other accounts doing the exact same thing, LARPing as if they made a sketch or a 3D model, and then look at my graphic design imagery or look at my finished 3D model, and it's literally just not that. And it brings up a really interesting question that people online have been talking about, right? Because a lot of the pro AI people, the AI bros, they're like, AI is so great, they make your life so much easier. All of you guys who say Gen AI is bad, you guys all suck, blah, blah, blah. But it brings up a question of like, if it truly is as good as you say, and if it truly is this generational tool that you are so proud of using, why does everybody hide it? Like, why does everybody who uses Gen AI, why do they go around LARPing and pretending they're real artists, showing a Blender scene for the image that they created to make it look like it was 3D modeled in Blender? Or, you know, AI generating a sketch in Gemini to try to showcase this is my sketching process for my final product. It just doesn't make sense because you're not doing what you're claiming. You're claiming you're so proud of this thing that you've done, but in actuality, you're hiding it by pretending you're a real artist. So yeah, I'm just curious, have you seen any of these people floating around the internet? Because I do feel like we're just gonna be seeing more and more of it. With the rise of Gen AI, we're just seeing more and more of people trying to claim they're artists when they're actually not. Just pick up a pencil or watch a Blender tutorial, you know? Up to you. With that, if you like this video, I appreciate it if you like and subscribe. Don't forget to check me out on Etsy. I have digital art there for streamers and creators. I also have a coffee with free resources for content creators. And I also stream on Twitch 3 days a week, Mondays and Saturdays at 6 p.m. PST and Thursdays at 7:30. Sorry, I was petting my cat because he literally just walked into the room. My precious baby son. Corin, come here. You want to show YouTube? No, he just doing cat things and he insists on rubbing his head on other things. Ah, all right, Corin, do you want to say bye to YouTube? Bye-bye. He's so cute.